Hello kids. Well, I've put together another short video that shows what I've been up to lately. As you all know, we've had some real challenges getting access to high-speed internet out here. The only option we've had is using satellite internet, and the carrier we were using just was terrible. Thanks to Benton for cluing us into Starlink, we were able to get that installed when it became available in our area. Here's the dish, and you'll notice it's not pointing straight up, which is kind of what I expected for some reason. Instead, it's angled much lower, pointed towards the tree line, and that was a problem when the trees were all leafed out. Our coverage was constantly dropping, so what to do? We could cut the trees down, and I seriously thought about that, or we can raise the dish above the tree line, which is what we decided to do. What you see here is our new 50-foot tower. It's a pretty lightweight, so no massive loads can be put up on top. This is a standalone tower, meaning no guy wires, and it's a tip over, meaning no climbing the tower, which is something I specifically wanted to avoid. I'm just getting too old for that. Instead, the base of the tower is hinged, so we just tip it over whenever we want access to the top, and then you tip it back up. Well, this video will show how I put this tower up and a few of the challenges that I encountered, because nothing's ever easy, especially in this day and age where there are supply issues and labor shortages, and it's just hard to get anything done. The first challenge was finding a place to put this darn thing. Lots of trees are around the house, but it's not just finding an opening in the canopy. The site needs to be accessible by a cement truck for the foundation. It takes quite a bit of cement. I thought about doing it by hand until I figured out it'd take over 100 bags of cement, and that just wasn't going to work. So of course the front of the house is out. The back has trees, retaining walls, the patio, etc., so that really isn't an option. The west side has a really steep grade away from the house, so the east side, the garage side, was really the only choice. Initially there wasn't even an opening in the canopy out there, but we had an elm tree that was leaning over and onto the garage, so I decided to take it out, which gave us an opening to work with. I also had to take a limb off of that oak tree as well, so we had quite a bit of tree work as the first step. After placing the order and 4 quick months later, the tower components arrived. For whatever reason, the truck driver dropped it off at the road, so I had to use the tractor to get it all the way to the house. That was another small challenge, not too bad. Next step was digging the foundation hole, and this is something I'll never do again. Eventually this will become a 4x4 by 4 foot hole, and the deeper I went, the harder it was to get the soil out of the hole. That was really the hardest part, and that is some serious clay once you get down about 6 inches below the surface. So that was a lot of work. Okay, the next step was getting ready for the concrete pour. That meant taking the first tower section and attaching the steel base legs. The portion that'll be embedded in the concrete is that other steel legs. So I got everything secure and plumbed vertically, and then waited and waited because, well, of course, there's a concrete shortage in the area. So I kept calling the concrete supplier, waiting to see if there was any leftovers from some larger job. Eventually there was, after a long wait. Apologies for the weird camera orientation. I didn't know how to fix this, so, well, you get the idea. The concrete was poured, everything went well. There's a lot of work in getting that concrete pushed around, but I finally got that done. It took about a week for it to cure, and next spring I'll put some sealer on it, but I think the foundation looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. The next step was to tip it over and add the remaining tower sections. So here are the first 2 sections that are attached, and only 3 sections left. I think they're each about 10 feet in length, so it gives me the 50-foot total. Now we're all together, put all the sections together, and they went together pretty well. It was a pleasant surprise. I always expect, at some point certain holes, bolt holes, won't line up. And then there's a moment of truth, not just how heavy this was going to be, but will everything align at the base? And with Kevin's help, Sherry's son, we were able to get this thing pushed up, and yeah, it worked well. Everything lined up very nicely at the base, and the tower is vertical. I was afraid if you're just a few degrees off at the base, it's going to be off quite a bit at the top. So everything worked out well. Next, I'll tip it back over and put up our Starlink dish up on top, and then maybe put a TV antenna, a cell signal booster, as well as a small antenna for ham radio. So there you go, another little project at the Snyder homestead. I hope you enjoyed this. I love you all. Bye now.